Welcome back to Building in Fallout. In our last little adventure, we continued on with the early warnings mission, and we're grabbing heating coils from several bunkers around the area from the Free States. The last heating coil is at a relay tower near Fort Atlas, so I decided that, I'll go back to camp, do a few things, and then I realized I needed to head to a station to sell off some extra stuffs. But I came over to the Thunder Mountain Power Station just because there's two unique events on the way. I found a crashed satellite, so that gave me a bunch of good junk like biometric scanners, circuit boards, aluminum scrap, actually, because that was just a few minutes ago. So yeah, biometric scanners, enhanced targeting cards, power relay coils, vacuum tubes, fuses, and aluminum from a crashed satellite. I then came up the road a little bit and found two Yaoguai that had slaughtered some Mega Sloth. And then lastly, I came over to take out these gulpers. But the head gulper dropped us our second heavy weapon. So now we have a Gatling laser. It does need some repairs. But these things run off of the fusion cores that your power armor runs off of. So you'll get 500 rounds, depending on the gun setup. You could get 600 rounds out of your fusion cores. But the one benefit to that is uranium. The one benefit is you can recharge those fusion cores. If you watch your ammo count and is, oh, I only have, 50 rounds left or 20 rounds left, something like that, then you can reload early, keep that minimal charged fusion core in your inventory, and then put it in the fusion core recharger that you can get from the atomic shop. So it is a way to keep ammo in that weapon. Sadly, there's nothing like that for the plasma Gatling. You just gotta use up those cores and move on from there. But now that we're here, go ahead and get all that junked, put all that junk away. I don't use explosives. Well, not much. So I'm gonna go ahead and sell the everything just because there's more of everything back at camp. When I say everything I've prepared, because even though it's not worth much money, well, okay, some of these dishes are worth a good bit of money. I think I can turn those into something. Yeah, like that Mirelurk Queen steak is 9 caps. Doesn't sound like much, but it all adds up. So going out into the world and, finding a bunch of meat that is there, it is a tactic. Hold on. I want 3 of those, so I sell 1. Okay. So that should be everything. And of course, always look for, anything that anything that would be beneficial to your build, anything that you would be interested in using, like, there's a cryolator here, at least the plans for one. Those can be fun, but I don't like the short-ranged heavy weapons like the flamer and the cryolator. Not my thing. Same thing goes for if you turn the harpoon gun into the flechettes, it basically turns it into a harpoon shotgun. It's not that it's bad, I just don't want things to get that close to me. So, Now, you're not going to find the plans for the Gatling laser anywhere in one of the train stations. Ooh. It's 100 gold bullion. I actually think I might save that for another character. Yeah, I'm actually going to save that. And that is a thing you can do. If you want to grind out the season with a character that you've built, and then switch over to a new character that you had an idea for and whatnot, you can save the prizes on the scoreboard for them. And copper. Is that it? Always be on the lookout for mining spots. But let's go ahead and head back to camp now. And again, if I wanted to, I could have just circumvented all the random encounters. Because over there you can see where the Yao Guai were. If you go over here, that's where the satellite was, even though it's already disappeared. And then the Thunder Mountain substation always has some kind of high level, or at least higher level, usually the level of the area, but it's got something big in it that you can take out and has some prizes. You know, I didn't even think to go see if the Wendigos were here. But I added in a new water purifier just because somehow I got this thing to be posted in the ground and not in water. Also, I couldn't squeeze one in next to the vault entrance we have hidden. But, I'm back in camp. So I'm going to count myself as semi-safe and get out of the armor. So, now that we've got ourselves a new weapon, let's go ahead and get supplies for our journeys ahead. And now I do believe I have a full garden, because now we have the gourds here too. But gourds and gourds and carrots both make a soup that give you a +2 to perception. So it's pretty easy to keep your perception semi-high most of the time. Alright, so gotta scrap nothing. It's all been scrapped. So modify repair, because repairs are needed. Now, one thing that is kind of a downside. We have all 5 ranks of... Yeah, we have all 5 ranks of gunsmith. That doesn't... it reduces the wear and tear on your weapons by about 50%. Sadly, that does not apply to energy weapons. So they will need a whole lot of... yeah, they will need a whole lot of maintenance. Now, one thing you can do as soon as you get a Gatling laser is you can change from the standard barrel to a charging barrel. What this will do is it does increase the damage that your bolts will have. The problem is it takes down your fire rate tremendously. So instead of it sitting here and spinning up like a minigun, it's going to spin up like a minigun, give an initial burst of laser bolts, and then it's going to go into this slow, into a slow fire rate. Now, it is possible to trick the game into just continuing the burst and just doing the burst almost constantly. And I guess I might have to demonstrate that. But for most players and standard players, you want the standard barrel just because you want it to be a minigun, but I already have a higher fire rate weapon at this point in time, and using it in the charged form can save you some weapon condition in the long run. So let's see if I've got, yeah, and there is a one to go. I might need my armor. Not to mention being in the armor does, you know, increase your strength, which does increase the damage slightly for heavy weapons. But, so, normal Gatling laser, and there's that burst. But you can see how, what in the world? But if you can get your timing right, you can have that burst constantly. Now, I prefer it this way, personally. It is a little bit infuriating to learn how to get the burst going. I'm just going to take all that, thank you. But the basic idea, you have to use the aim down the barrels for it to work, because you're going to charge up, and normally you just sit here at this steady pace and it can still do a whole lot of good damage. But what you're going to do is you're going to get that burst and, oh, come on. And so the timing is, once the initial burst is done and it wants to set back in to that steady fire rate, you're going to let one or two of those bolts go, and as soon as it pops off, you're going to let go of both your triggers and then push them again. And that is the only way I've ever gotten this to work. And it's not a guarantee unless you've got the absolute yeah, unless you have like an absolute talent for timing, then you're never really gonna get the like the full glitch of it. It's just gonna be very sparse, and most of the time it's not even worth bothering. But if you can get the drop on most enemies, you really can do some massive damages with just that initial burst. Now, like I had said before, since these run on fusion core, it is possible to recharge the fusion cores for ammunition. But yeah, that little bit of action that it just saw, you can see it only took a small tick out of its condition, but it will, and I do mean it will, run through its condition incredibly fast, especially if you've got it on its regular minigun setting. But we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna put in a new fusion core, just for the sake of glitching. I like to switch the weapons, because if you're holding the weapon and you're in the fusion, or yeah, if you're holding a weapon and you have your power armor on, it gets confused as to what fusion cores are active. It always has. I don't know if they've tried to fix it and it just really didn't work. But what you can do is you can eject the fusion core. Like, that's the one that's in our power armor. It's still got good charge, but that's the one we were using, so you can take that out. It's already loaded with a full fusion core, and then you can grab any of the fusion cores you have for sale that are fully charged, or any of the ones that have fully charged themselves already. But let's go ahead and make a whole bunch of food. Always go for utility first, because vegetable starch But then anything else, I like to go for razor grain soup first, otherwise I'll accidentally make the flour, and I don't have the recipes the flour requires, at least not that I'm aware of. But just go ahead and make all the everything that you can. I don't have... Now I'm slightly radiated, and that bugs me, because I'm one of those players who doesn't like to go for a ghoul build, even though that's been on my list of things to accomplish. But it's not... Yeah, it's not too debilitating to run around with a slight bit of radiation. It's when you got all the radiation on your bar that it can get dicey. Excuse me. But I forgot it does that. So I'm gonna have some soup, some juice. That is one of the... I find this to be one of the most wasted food benefits of all time. If you're in water and you eat this, you get invisible for 10 seconds. It's only 10 seconds and you have to be in water, so why? I just don't get it myself. That's all I'm saying. But, yeah, I just wanted to show that we have ourselves a new weapon, where I got it and whatnot, because, you know, I play a little bit off camera. So, moving on from this whole thing, we're going to hop back into our armor, and of course, there's a bunch of stuff that I picked up that needs scrapped. Now, I've spoken before about wooden armor and how you need to find it, because you can't find schematics, you can't build it. That's one of the reasons that I like this campsite, is because there is a Mothman shrine right next door. So the cultists have a chance to drop the wooden armor. So once I get up to a certain level, I can farm wooden armor from, you know, all the cultist camps that we found, and the site here next to us. But they want us to go here. I want to say that if I go to Fort Atlas, even though it is a free fast travel, I have to climb a mountain. Let's go with it. And go with the exterior. Now, eventually, we will be doing the Brotherhood quests here at Fort Atlas. Personally, as a Fallout fan, I am Brotherhood all the way. Always have been. You know, still a fan of like the NCR out west and stuff like that, but I just not a fan of the Enclave. I actually like the whole Minutemen and Responders ideas you get from, you know, Fallout 4 and here in 76, because it makes sense that locals would band together, you know. But eventually, one of my personal favorite storylines is to get involved with the Brotherhood here at Fort Atlas. After we, you know, already become an initiate and whatnot through the Ghosts of the Brotherhood over at Fort Defiance. But we're going to go ahead and run to the northeast towards the relay tower. Yeah, I think I have to hop down this mountain and then climb another one to get to it. Not really the end of the world, but a bit of a hassle. Now you see I've just gotten an invitation from someone for a team effort. I think I missed my chance. Nope, there it is. So, just he offered. I feel special. But now that I'm part of a team, if, you have the perks for it, I don't think I do have anything in Charisma besides Lone Wanderer and Hard Bargain. So, sadly, this is not getting the benefit. I'm not getting the damage resistance and the AP regen because I'm on a team. But that's not entirely a bad thing. You still get a lot of benefits and can find a lot of benefits from being on a team. And again, just because you join somebody's team, it's not like contractually obligated to, hey, go help him do his thing. You can still be off running around accomplishing what you want to. It just gives you the option to work together. Bad idea. He didn't know what I had. And now it is very possible to be very restrictive with your Gatling laser. Only fire a few shots, or even just one shot before the burst actually goes off. But here we are. I'm not sure what that icon next to Ninja's name means. Again, I usually play this solo unless I've got my fire team, but we all have lives now. But once you get to the radio tower, there'll be super mutants and machine gun turrets to deal with. Yeah, I just want the everything. But, oh, we're no longer on a team. I guess he was actually expecting me to help him out. My bad, dude. Now, I'm one of those people that personally, if you're going to go be on a public team, have a microphone. Yes, we can communicate through the emotes, but it gets complicated and you can't emote in the middle of battle, at least efficiently. So, yeah. But now that we're here at the relay tower, just go ahead and scavenge the anything and everything. And ooh, fusion core. Anything and everything that you can. Now, I know that I said you can recharge your fusion cores, but it is more beneficial to try and run the fusion core down as far as possible. Because if you sit here and, oh, I'm just... Because I have a really bad habit of reloading all the time. So if I were to reload this now, it would be about 60% charge, and then as I'm, going through and actually fighting, eventually I'm going to reload and only have a half-charge core. So I just prefer, personally... Can I not reach that one? There we go. I prefer, personally, to just let the fusion cores run out. I mean, one of the reasons our first camp is next to a power plant is for fusion cores, because you can get about, 3 of them every hour, or half hour, something like that. So, yeah. Why not? Now, it is telling us to craft upgraded motors. You can do that at any Tinkerer's bench, but we have to head back to Abby's bunker anyway for storyline, and she does have a Tinkerer's bench in her bunker, so go ahead, spend the caps, head that way. Oh, excuse me. Okay. So now that we're back at the bunker, go ahead and head back inside. Now, for some reason, the rad roaches at the bunker like to respawn quickly. That's not a complaint, it's just an observation, so beware of that. I knew there was one more. Oh, I forgot she had discarded recordings of this whole holotape setup trying to get people to do her work from the grave. Now, in case you ever start reloading, like you didn't mean to, like I was actually just trying to get into the transfer menu, you can always cancel the reload animation with a melee attack. Alright, I need to get out of the power armor. So we're going to come over. I'm going to scrap a few things. Alright. And then we're going to go into crafting. You're going to go down to quest items, and you're going to make 5 upgraded motors. Now, you got to go back to her terminal and select that the motors have been upgraded. And again, if you've been away from this area for a while, there's a good chance that some of the better scrap, like the military circuit boards and office desk fans, have regenerated nuclear material in the blast radius board game. So motors are upgraded. So just listen to Abby and figure out your next steps. Jeez, Abby. So needy. Alright, so you're going to take the holotape for Rose out of the desk. And now we have to upgrade scorch detectors. Now if we look at our map, all of these scorch detectors are along Highway 66. Well, one of them literally is right outside our door. One's down here near the dam. And then from there, we're going to fast travel to our camp because there's one right next to it. And then the other two are... Well, that's cool. We got somebody down there too. And then the other two are down here near Camp Venture. So, first things first, we're just going to head right outside the front door. Now, once you have all these scorch detectors up and running, then from there, you can travel back to the top of the world and talk to Rose and give her the uplink that Madigan was trying to give her in the first place, but, you know, raiders, they stink. And since we've already come through and helped Rose out, and she, you know, trusts us, or the Miss Nanny protocols are making her care about us, I don't know, it's one of the two. But she'll deal with us now because of that. Now, I've never seen packs of Scorch just roaming down the highway, but that seems to be what these detectors are for. I mean, it would make some sense because the Scorched used to be human, and some of their, primary, what am I looking to say here? So, the things that are stored in their muscle memory, old actions that they used to have, would still be prevalent. So, traveling a roadway makes sense that they would stick to the roads because that's a very human thing to do. It's the same concept of like Shaun of the Dead when the zombies, kept their baser instincts. They could do menial tasks still. It's the same concept. I just think it's with the Scorched. Their basic primal urges are... Oh no, I think this is Mr. Bandit. No, sometimes Mr. Handy actually needs... Yep. Bad move. Wow, it didn't give me the charge up first. That was a weird glitch. Now, be super careful when going through the mire on the railroad or on the roadways, because you can see this van here how it's been ransacked through and doesn't have much left to it. If you see one that looks like it's fully intact, it's a trap because that's a hermit crab. They're not a tough fight, and that's pretty much it. That's just fair warning. Look out for hermit crabs. Yeah, this is pretty much down there. If we had found... I thought we had. No, but if we had found the dam, we could have fast traveled to it. But then you would miss out on all this fun stuff along the way, like this Blood Eagle camp with a raider in power armor. So... Alright, now that everybody's been taken care of... Wait a second. You're shooting at me with a laser rifle and you dropped a super sledge? And why am I still in caution? Blood bugs. Well, there was another no wind-up. Not a complaint, just an observation. And level 29. I'll take it. I think I need to finish fireproof. I do. And highly suggested, doesn't matter what build you're making, at least have a soft cap of 3 in endurance for fireproof. Just because of the fact that it will reduce your explosion and flame attack damage by 45%. This is a lot better than it sounds even, because later on in the game you're going to run into a lot of explosions, you're going to run into a lot of fire-using enemies, bandits with flamers, and things of that nature. Why am I hearing explosions? So, if you want to go ahead and power up Thunder Mountain, there's really no reason not to. And, oh, here we go. So you can see this truck, how the front half of it's missing, like the cab is gone. I think this guy's glitched because... nope, he's not glitched. But it is very possible to get the drop on him. Hitting him in the truck does very little. His weak spots are actually his eyes, which makes sense for any crab. Ow. But just go ahead and, load him up with whatever ammo you're firing. And he gave us a 50 cal. Well, how about them apples? Now here's the question. Both of them are level 25. Alright, so here's the one that we constructed. You can see how it has a little bit of a secondary condition bar. So we're probably just gonna decommission the other one and hope that we get a part for it. But there's honestly not very many parts for the 50 cal. I think there's like 2. But I should probably at least find the workshop on the map. And be careful, the workshop is almost always filled with scorched. There we go, there's the power plant at least. And there's the plant yard. Alright, and some disgruntled scorched. So if you want to, you can easily take over in this area. Other than the fusion cores, you get crystal, nuclear material, wood, and steel out of this workshop. Another reason that I prefer this setup for the minigun is it's very easy to lose accuracy at a long range. This thing is accurate as all get out, and I like accuracy. Yes, the fire rate isn't the best it could be, but that doesn't bother me. Trying to remember, I think that yep, right below me. But moving on from the workshop and the power plant, we're gonna get our second of these scorch detectors fixed. Now, you can just keep running down the highway. There are a bunch of different things to find along the way. Like you can see, there's the dam right there. So I might actually find that before I fast travel. Just 'cause why not? I don't remember what enemy type is here. I want to say it's super mutants. I was right. And I don't know if I'm going to get close enough on the road to it. I really don't want to have to run up on it just to find it. And of course, it's your prerogative if you want to clear the place out, scavenge, and do whatever. Honestly, it's highly suggested. All of these places that I run past for purposes of keeping the videos short, even though that's never accomplished really, I highly suggest it. I'm ooh, what's this place, let's dive into it kind of guy. But for viewing purposes, I've been keeping things short, skipping out on certain areas and whatnot. But before I get too in-depth with this, go ahead and bring up the menu and head back to camp, because right next door to one of the scorch detections. No, I didn't plan it that way. The first time that I noticed it, it was actually kind of serendipitous, because I had found the campsite being in the mire, and yeah, just so happened that it was near a mission objective. Yeah, good stuff. But just for the sake of video time, I actually do think, and I didn't even get nothing from it. You're never guaranteed to find modifications anyway, so don't ever think that. But on the other side of things, if I really wanted to, I could sit here and construct as many 50 cals as the junk collection will allow, and then decommission them for a chance to get whatever weapon part. But again, not guaranteed, and most of the time it's just a waste. Now, I personally like to come up here to the random event spawn before I go, before I go over to the scorch detector. Now, there used to be a glitch in the game that allowed you to take the Gatling rifle, the old Gatling gun, and as fast as you could tap your aim, it would allow your gun to fire, so it would get around its fire rate and keep its power. They fixed that. They fixed that quick because there's a lot of people exploiting that, myself included. And they've never fixed the burst fire on the charged Gatling laser. But it's also not the easiest thing to actually pull off. And what? Where were you hiding? You just let me kill all your floater buddies? Now you can see I've already let one fusion core run out. Because it's very difficult to sit there and, you know, just watch your ammo and be like, oh, I need to reload before it runs out. Don't sweat it. Again, you're going to end up finding half-charged fusion cores and power armor. You're going to find them just lying around, like I did at the one relay tower, last relay tower we were at. So you can easily come across them. Not to mention, sometimes enemies will drop them as ammo, but that is a rarity. You can come over and grab this detector near your camp. Now, as far as the other ones are concerned, it's not too far of a run, but I may just fast travel. No, let's run. Now, getting close to Harper's Ferry, I'll probably end up getting the miscellaneous quest to investigate. But it has been overrun with super mutants, so unless you are prepared to take out a whole horde, I wouldn't bother. Although I am... Oh no, I think I've gotten close enough before. Yep, and here's the Burrows North, which is actually the sewer system there. But we're just gonna cut across. Because again, you can follow the highway, but it's not the most accurate, really. Alright, yeah, this one first. And again, I apologize if my videos get long. It's just sometimes there's a lot of stuff to go through, and Lord knows what they're going to throw at me for combat, so you can never be quite sure exactly how long any mission's going to take. I'm also one of those kind of guys that will get halfway through a mission and then go get distracted by something else. But I digress. So as we're coming up here, there's usually some kind of engagement going on. In this case, it was wolves versus a bear, and the bear lost. But I've actually ran into a sheep squatch here before. I have run into a Grafton monster. I've run into a blue devil. We got lucky with having something manageable right now, because it was a Brahmin, it wasn't a Yogwai. But some of the random events in this area can be super overpowered. I've even run into a Goyu, or however you say that, a massive Gamera looking turtle thing. Alright, one last detector. Now, I've already discovered some locations in this area, so I'm just going to go ahead and run past them, because there's super mutant floaters over there, and I think the treetops are somewhat deserted, but there might be... Usually there's a mega sloth around the treetops. Has a chance to spawn. Nope, this time it was a Snallygaster. See, he dropped me a fusion core. But again, that's usually something you'll get out of larger enemies. He was a king enemy, you know, he was a leader. So that's why he had a chance to drop me that. Okay, well, moving on. Not to mention Snallygasters are good for waste acid and waste asbestos. So, good to know he can spawn there. Don't think it's a guarantee, though. Personally, if I'm trying to hunt Snallygasters, I just go back down to Charleston, because there's 2 chances for Snallygasters to spawn near the Capitol building. There's a chance for 2 different Grafton monsters to spawn, one near the fast travel location for the Capitol building, and one of them down in the gully near where we built camp. So moving on. There's another workshop over here. Oh, this is the farm, isn't it? Now this is a popular place. I mean, most workshops are very contested in the community, but this one in particular, I'm actually surprised no one's here. I just need to get close enough to find it, but you can already see there's a junk pile here. Yep, the Danby Homestead. So, why this is a desirable... There are enemies here? Why this is desirable. You have 1 fertilizer, 1 junk, 1 concrete, 1 wood, and 3 copper. So if you're low on copper for whatever reason, this is the place for you. Not the best to defend. Honestly, stuff comes from everywhere, being here in the mire and whatnot, and I'm not seeing these enemies they want me to clear. That makes me paranoid. Aha, gulpers. Really? Y'all can't see? Well, I mean, it would make sense their eyes wouldn't work so much. If you look at salamanders and newts, they really don't rely on their eyes too much. They rely more on extrasensory perception of vibrations near them, as well as their eardrums are pressure sensitive. Not entirely sure if I'm remembering correctly, but I want to say that most newts and salamanders have their ears attached to their lungs like a frog. And if you didn't know that, it's because of the fact that they can change the size of their eardrum so they can focus on sounds in the area or ignore other ones depending on how much airflow they allow through their eardrums. It's actually quite nice. But again, I don't remember if newts and salamanders do that too. It's been so long since I was in biology. Alright, so now that we've gotten all that put together, make sure after you get this last stop on the road of those, you want the Valley Galleria as a fast travel location. It's not a free fast travel or anything like that, but there's a couple of missions that'll send you back here. This is a really good spot for scavenging. I actually want to say that there was a vendor here, but I know there isn't. I want to say that was an old mistake someone made in programming. Okay, well, that was a disturbing holotape. But it's Fallout. There's very few things that aren't disturbing. Alright, so since we're here at a Red Rocket, best thing about Red Rockets, there will always be some kind of workbench. And there will always be a stash box. So let me... junk all that stuffs. And then store the junk. So I was holding about 20 pounds of it. Alright, so now that you have found the Galleria and have gotten all the scorch detectors in place, all you gotta do is head back to the top of the world and talk to Rose, which by this point in time is kind of obvious that you end up having the fast travel location. So we'll pick it up from the top of the world in the next episode. Hopefully you found this informative and entertaining, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.